And going straight across now to Jane Kinnan-Mont, CEO of the United Nations Association UK. Thanks very much for being here. I have to begin by asking you for your assessment of those remarks that have been made regarding a two-state solution. What do you make of that?
Well, Benjamin Netanyahu has been clear for many years that he opposes the formation of a Palestinian state. He has often pitched himself to Israeli voters as the only man who can make sure that this never happens, although that goes against the views of most countries in the world and many UN resolutions. He probably thinks he's closer than ever to ensuring that that state doesn't happen. Particularly as he pushes ahead with floating these ideas of pushing Palestinians out of their homeland through the so-called voluntary immigration, which I think most people can see wouldn't be voluntary in any real sense of the word.
Right. Let's also talk about the situation on the ground in the Gaza Strip as of now. And what you make of the demand that has been made, or the stress that has been laid on the need for the return of the UN-led aid distribution system there?
So the UN has been the main provider of aid and services in Gaza for a very long time. And, you know, for more than a decade, nearly 2 decades, Gaza has been under some sort of economic blockade, not usually as intense as it has been since October 7th, 2023. So the UN system has an irreplaceable role in this context. But because of various issues that Israel has with the UN, they passed a law to ban the main UN agency that supports the Palestinians. And instead, it has been replaced in recent months with the highly controversial Gaza Humanitarian Foundation. Now, this is an extremely problematic, privately owned organization with support from both America and Israel, but it has been criticized from the outset by every other humanitarian organization in the world because it doesn't meet basic humanitarian principles. Indeed, even its first chief executive actually resigned before its operation started, saying that it didn't meet basic humanitarian principles. We've seen in recent months hundreds of Palestinians have been shot while approaching the apparently aid distribution centres that this foundation has set up. So instead of being an organisation that is dedicated to saving lives, it has actually become an organisation which is implicated in violence and implicated in mass displacement. The way that the sites are organised is also designed to move Palestinians into an increasingly small zone of Gaza, where they're further away from their homes and they're more concentrated under Israeli military control. It may, however, be the case that if a ceasefire is announced, that would include provisions for the UN to begin to restore genuinely humanitarian operations, something that's really badly needed.
And how optimistic are you of that happening? What are your expectations at this point? What do you think needs to happen immediately here onwards?
What needs to happen and what I expect are probably two quite different things in this context, because there is a clear need to open up Gaza, get aid in, start to enable people to go back to where they used to live. There are loads of dead bodies under rubble. There's huge amounts of basic work that needs to be done to even start to bury the dead. But in terms of what happens, I think it is likely that something is going to be announced because there has been so much kind of trailers and teasers coming from Trump that something positive would happen. The risk is that it could be quite short-lived. So we did see a ceasefire in Gaza that was agreed when President Biden was leaving office, and which Trump was also involved in. And that lasted for 2 months, and that did provide some relief. You saw hunger alleviated, you saw people beginning to return home, but then it broke down, essentially because of domestic politics in Israel. There were members of Netanyahu's coalition that were opposed to the ceasefire that he needed to get back into his government in order to pass Israel's budget. And there's an ongoing risk that the ceasefire could fall victim to the domestic political calculations in Israel or in America if Trump changes his mind.
We're leaving it there for the moment. Thanks very much for being here.